Hey, good morning. I'm Dano The Rust Buster. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be a two-part series, and in episode one, I'm going to go over the following topics, which are repair versus restoration, what I work on and what I don't work on, how I go about my work, and what I bring along. If you want to expedite this and just jump around a little bit, look in the description. I'll have the timers on there so you can go right to what you're interested in. Let's begin with the repair versus restoration. I've got a pretty heavy background in restoration, and with that, there's a lot of attention to detail. There's a lot of rules. There's a lot of what products you can and cannot use if you're going to be doing a restoration. I've gotten past that. I'm done with it. What I'm interested in is repairs. Repairs for guys that want to enjoy their car. They want to drive it. It's clean. It's safe. It's not the bondo falling off, rust coming out, such like that. But at the same time, they're not bringing it to the Barrett Jackson auctions. They're not. They don't want to spend 80, 100K on this car. They just want to enjoy it. Hey guys, I get it. That's who I'm after. And what the ones that I do like to work on, my passion, if you look at all my videos, or most of them for any rate, you'll see that I'm a 60s guy. 50s, 60s, 70s, even early 80s, American cars. I do trucks, pickups as well. However, I don't do the box section of a pickup, the sides, the end where it meets the cab, the bed itself, frame rails. That's not where I'm at. Anybody with a basic 3 or 4 years of metal fabrication, that's like the first thing you learn is pickup beds. Let the young guys take care of that. Where it really gets into the detail work or the quality work is my thing is floors, doors, trunks, rockers, drip edges, drip pans, firewalls, all that sort of exterior body work. The trunk, gutter, drip edges, all that, where the glass, especially on your old GMs, the front and rear windshield when it rusts all around the outer edge, the leading of the edge of the dash. That's my passion. That's where I'm at. And the way I go about the way I go about my work is very methodical. I work one section at a time. Later on in my next episode, how I work my hourly rates. I work hourly. It's impossible. I've been at this for a long time, and it's impossible to look at something and say that's how long it's going to take, because you never know what is hidden behind it, the tip of the iceberg. It's the same story every time. If I've done 100 fenders on a 70 Chevelle, all 100 of them were different. One was exactly what it looks like. Then the next one it's this, and the next one is that. There's no way you can do that. I work on an hourly basis, and if there's multiple places on the car, I only work 4 to 5 hours a day. Okay, so I only work in this one section. I don't go around cutting all the rust out and make the thing into Swiss cheese and then say see you next week and give you a heart attack. No, I stay in one place. So let's just say we've got a 70 Chevelle, and in front of the rear wheel there's a hole 4" by 4". Very typical for that car. What I do is I cut back the rust for the most part, so I can see inside, and I treat if there's nothing going on in there, just your typical old metal. I hit it with the OSFO. In the OSFO, you can look at my product pics where I explain what that is if you don't know already. Then I finish it out with some red oxide primer, or maybe even zinc chromate, whatever rust inhibitor is appropriate for that area. After that, I use the 20 gauge, which is whatever the body metal is, mostly the Chevelles, that's 20 gauge. So I make my patch to oversize it. Then I trace the patch and trace it out. Then I cut out where I traced, and when I put my patch in, my repair, of course, I form it so that there's any contour of the body I form by hand, and get that in, and I butt weld. Okay, I butt weld like that. I don't overlap. Overlap is something that Uncle Bob in the backyard used to do with a coat hanger and a torch. That's not where I'm at. When you have the butt weld, my gaps, my welding gaps are almost down to zero. They're in the thousandths of an inch of an air gap. And so then once I finish welding that piece in, I don't go 100% weld all the way around. Excuse me, because it's not an overlap, so you don't have to worry about penetration, water getting in there. When you overlap, that's what you have to do. You have to go all the way around, otherwise water's going to get between it and it's going to split. And here we go. So mine isn't like that. So after I blend the weld, treat the metal again, come back with a little filler, just enough to hide the weld, blend it in, and I knock it down and hit it with universal primer. So lacquer primer, universal primer. It's just very basic backyard stuff. It works for me. After that, the rust has been eradicated. The surrounding metal is sealed and treated. The patch is installed properly and treated, and it's primed. Now it's ready for the body guys. Give it to them. Let them float the way they do. That's what they're about. I don't have that passion for that kind of work, so I just don't go there. I bring the unit up to 95, 97% of where it's supposed to be. Body shops, they don't have to grind on anything I do. They don't have to hammer and dolly on any of my work. I don't want them to do anything excuse me, to my work. When I hand it to them, it's like, here you go, sand it, seal it, finish it, and paint it. That's what I want them to do. I've never had an argument out of any of these guys. If there's something that they find, I take care of it right then and there. I'll drive to the body shop wherever it may be, and take care of it. So that covers repair versus restoration. What I work on, what I don't work. Oh, I haven't quite finished today. I got to go back a little bit on this one. What I work on and what I don't. I do not work on BMWs, Mercedes, Volkswagen Beetles. No German cars. If you got a Beetle, there's plenty of people that work on that stuff. If you got a BMW or Mercedes, there's other people that work on that. I don't like them. They're not my passion. Okay, guys, American muscle cars are my passion. I don't like Jeeps at all. They're a tinker toy. They're something that you should bring to a farm supply welder or something. To me, that's not a classic car. It's not a muscle car. They rust like hell, and all the time it's with the suspension. I don't work on suspension anymore. No more rusted frame rails and replacing stretches of C notch, the C channel frame. No. I'm not rolling around on my back anymore. I stick to the body. Okay. That brings me to what's included. What do I bring to the party? Everything. As you know, that I'm mobile. I have everything I need in my van. I have everything from refrigerator to my travel bunk to my own toilet. I bring my own food, my own water. I bring everything I need to travel, and I bring sheet metal with me. I bring a 20 gauge, 18 gauge, 16 gauge, and some 1/8 inch, just in case I find a bracket somewhere that really needs some attention and it's not terribly complicated. I bring all my gases, cutoff wheels, sandpaper, fillers, rust inhibitors, everything except for replacement panels. For the most part, what I find most of the time, the repairs that I come across, I can make the parts on right on the spot. We don't need to get crazy. If there's a rear quarter that needs to be purchased, then it would be best to, before you do that, or before you need to buy replacement parts, get with me, because there's a big deal to be made on that. The Taiwanese versus the American parts. There's times where you can spend from the price end of it, not the quality end of it, the price end. A Taiwanese floor pan, for example, it'll fit. I'm going to be banging it around anyway. You don't need to spend a top dollar. However, when it comes to a rear panel that goes across to the tail lights and the trunk panel on a 1970 Chevelle or a 1968 or 69 GTO, you really got to get the good one, because if it's not right, because it won't be from Taiwan, they're tough to stamp. I'm going to spend more time trying to get that to fit right, or the trunk isn't going to close right, because that whole dance, floor pans, rockers, I'll fit it. Quarters, trunk parts, it's got to be right. We'll get with that. So that's how you go about that. But those are the things that I don't buy. That's on you. But as far as a seam sealer, and I don't use undercoat anymore. Now everybody uses Flex Seal, and that stuff is just like incredible. I bring all that along. I bring all my solvents and fillers, all that kind of stuff. Okay, because it's all included in my hourly rate. So that's about that. One more time, repair versus restoration. I'm into repairs. Restoration, you can bring it to a shop. I'm not that guy. What I work on is American cars and trucks. I'm not inside the bed. I'm not doing suspension work. I'm not welding in motor mounts, doing exhaust work, laying on my back. None of that. Forget about your German cars. I will work on British and Scandinavian if they're older and they're really a cool car that I remember. I don't do Japanese hardly at all, with the exception of the older, really cool Mazda RX-7s, the Datsun 240Z, stuff like that. But if it's a 4Runner, a Toyota 1992 4Runner, forget it. And we went over all that. So I think that's about it for the moment. Let's go to the next episode.